The number of people experiencing long-term homelessness is on the rise in the district. A year after the pandemic, officials estimated that the chronically unhoused population had increased by about 20% throughout the city. The Deputy Mayor's Office of Health and Human Services rolled out a plan in September to shut down 3 of the city's largest homeless encampments, vowing to extend a housing voucher to each resident of the camps. The program is part of a broader push from the mayor's office to address long-term homelessness throughout the city.
This particular program has identified 3 of the largest encampment sites throughout DC, as well as 3 sites that have unfortunately had the most vulnerable consumers and highest level of health and safety risk factors. Now, I want to stress that this is not a mandatory program for any resident. We hope that the chances or opportunities to be housed are enough to where they want to engage with the intense case management services that will be allotted for those residents.
But critics and homeless advocates say the program lacks thoughtfulness, clarity, and will in effect criminalize homelessness in the district. Their biggest concern is that officials will close the camps too quickly without ensuring that each resident has had the chance to be given a housing voucher. Just days after officials began enforcing the program, a bulldozer struck a resident who was still in his tent during the clearing of the Noma encampment. Advocates have been communicating with officials about this program, urging them to ensure each resident is given access to housing before closing the encampments.
My name is Yannick Omicton. I am an ANC commissioner representing single-member District 2A01, which is around from F Street, F and E streets all the way down to the Potomac, and then between 23rd and 15th Streets Northwest. So in my single-member district, we have one of the largest encampments in the city. That encampment is sort of colloquially known as 20th and E or 21st and E. And it's got about 45 to 50 folks who live there from time to time. That number fluctuates. What I've been really interested in doing as a commissioner is making sure that when folks are out on the street, they can live with some level of dignity, and that neighbors in the area treat unhoused folks with respect. If you close an encampment before people get housing, or you close an encampment too quickly and not everyone has been matched with a voucher, you lose people. People go into the city, into the rest of the city, they go to a different park, they'll go somewhere else, they'll lose trust in the system because they were told that they were going to get housing and it didn't happen, right? And so we wanted to really make sure that this pilot program is going to help every single person it could possibly help.
Remora House is a collective that does unhoused community support and defense. Primarily what we do is we distribute supplies to unhoused camps. So we're kind of like a roaming mutual aid distribution unit. It just seemed pressing for us to jump into action as quickly as we could to make sure, our unhoused friends were, okay and being taken care of. And then, those relationships grew and strengthened, and now a year and a half later, some of these people are like family to us, and we're willing to do whatever we can to make sure they're safe. I know personally 3 long-term residents of those underpasses who didn't make it on the list. So like people that started these camps.
There's one individual down here at 20th and E who works during the day, right? He is a self-taught software analyst. He essentially, while he was out on the street, said, I need to get some skills in order to make me, employable and make some money. And he taught himself how to, code, and he taught himself how to read code and all this. It's incredible, right? But he does that during the day, right? He goes to Starbucks or goes to the library, and he does that during the day. And so, of course, he wasn't around when caseworkers came by to add people to the list. And then he finds out a few weeks later that he's not on the list.
I finally pushed it enough with Jamal Weldon, who is the head of outreach for DMHHS, and he said that they would continue doing outreach in the area, to which I reminded him, you're evicting everyone from the area. And he said they're doing outreach all over the city, which, as I said earlier, it's not that, like, they don't even have these people's names.
The bottom line is, when we put a sign up that says no more encampments, as we have done on K Street, we will do our best to make sure that those areas stay encampment free for reasons of health and safety. But that does not mean that in between the time we put a sign up and someone could come up and put up a tent, we'll have to come out and we'll have to enforce that removal. So it's just something that will have to be closely monitored.
It's pretty clear to us they're just trying to evict them. I'm not saying, I don't want to say that they don't actually care about the housing piece, but to me, coupling the effort to house as many residents as they feel like, because that's really, it's not as many as they can. They can house all of them. They're just not, right? If you're housing everyone, why is there an eviction? And it's because they're not.